When expressing sympathy, it's important for a gentleman to follow protocol. Judaism, Hinduism, and some sects of Islam don't have flowers at their funerals or grave sites. But if you join the family in their mourning at a later time, you may be expected to bring food items. Flowers are encouraged at Mormon funerals, but never in the shape of a cross. White is the only appropriate color to send to Buddhist funerals, but other religions from Asia allow for yellow as well. If a gentleman is uncertain how best to express sympathy, a call or email to the family, their closest friends, their religious leader, or the funeral home should solve that problem. Frequently, I've seen requests for donations to be sent to a charity in lieu of flowers. Back in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up in Kansas City, every Irish, Italian, and Polish family I knew accepted envelopes of cash at funerals. It was called a boost. After leaving Missouri, the only place I've seen this tradition take place was on an episode of The Sopranos. A gentleman attends a funeral for two reasons: to show his respects and offer his condolences. My grandmother used to say, funerals are for the living, and I've always agreed with her. Case in point, a gentleman shows his respect for the dead by offering his condolences to the living. I was once the only person from the office to attend a coworker's funeral. In the receiving line, I told his widow that everyone from our department admired him greatly. I signed the book along with the words, "and others from the firm." I didn't want her to know that none of her husband's other coworkers attended his funeral or even made it to the visitation. I lied to her, and I'll go to my grave believing it was the gentlemanly thing to do. If a gentleman must exaggerate his fondness or mask others' disdain for the deceased when conversing with the family, he should do so without going overboard and without feeling guilty. Of course, you may disagree with me, and if you do, I hope you'll open up a discussion in the comments section. A gentleman should wear his darkest suit and least radiant tie to a funeral. If you're between suits, assemble the darkest matching trouser and coat combination you have in your wardrobe. Think black, navy blue, chestnut brown, or dark charcoal gray. A pant-jacket combination also works if you're making an appearance at the wake or visitation but not attending the funeral or graveside services. Dark shoes, dark socks, and a standard plain white, yellow, or blue dress shirt should complete the ensemble. At funerals, I usually avoid pocket squares altogether, but a plain white one and a TV fold would be acceptable. There was a time when facial piercings, strange-colored hair, and tattoos were expected to be covered. I think that's the kind of thinking best left in the 20th century. Anyone who wants to pay their respects at my funeral is welcome no matter how they're dressed. Funerals and other solemn or religious ceremonies are situations in which a gentleman does well to follow along with what others are doing. I knew a Navajo lady whose family honored her wishes by throwing a huge party instead of a funeral. Balloons, music, hot food, and lots of beer. I've never heard more jokes or funny stories told about someone at their own memorial. Growing up in the Bible Belt, I found the whole thing very unorthodox, but who was I to tell these people they were grieving incorrectly? And finally, remarks like, "I know how you feel," or "at least their suffering is over," are trite and presumptuous. A gentleman who is unwilling or unable to offer services to the bereft, like cooking, cleaning, tending children, or making a small loan, should never utter the phrase, "If there's anything I can do, let me know." Simply showing up for any of the funerary events in appropriate attire is usually all that's expected of a gentleman outside of the immediate family. Sympathy cards are traditionally sent within 2 weeks of the death, although it's never too late to express heartfelt condolences. Most of all, keep focus on the deceased and the grieving family. Cheers.